And sorry for the momentary delay here, but I just kind of had a little, I'm not sure what happened with YouTube. It decided it was going to misbehave and not go live, and then it did all of a sudden. So I think we're good to go. I think we're live, and I'm just going to go ahead and check that out here. And it looks like I'm all sorts of crazily crooked on the screen. So I'm hoping that we'll get that fixed as well. So yeah, if you're joining, hopefully I'm live. So I don't know. It looks like I'm live, but it's taken a really long time. So I'm not sure what is going on. There we go. Okay. I think I'm live. So I don't know for sure. YouTube is acting a little odd today. It did an update overnight for me, so I don't know if that it just kind of, I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, glad we're here. Glad I'm here. And yeah, I think I'm finally getting the screen straightened out. And thanks everybody for joining. I see Sally's here and Karen. So thanks for hopping in today, and Danette as well. So this is the card we're going to be making today. Hey, Karen, thanks for joining. And Mary Ruth, I see you're here too. I'm glad you're liking the card, Karen. I have to admit, I stole kind of the design from the Stampin' Up! Catalog. Again, I've been casing all sorts of things out of there. The original card was actually turned this way in the catalog, and it, obviously the sentiment was over here. And so I thought, I like vertical cards more, so I'm going to just switch it around and make it a vertical card. So there you go. I did. And pretty much I swiped the design from the catalog, which I love doing that. And I love that the catalog has so many great samples in it as well. So, all right, so this is the card that we're going to be making today with the Wildflower Designs stamp set bundle. And actually, I think I used everything in the whole suite in the catalog because I used the designer paper, the embossing folder, the embellishments, and the stamp set bundle. So this is it. Love the font on these sentiments in here. Love the pretty floral images, and then there's a little background image here as well. And then the bundle dies that are bundled together with it is what I'm trying to say, has dies that will cut out the 4 flowers. And then there are just a set of kind of, is it hexagon? However many sides this is. It's hexagon, right? I don't know why I'm having a moment of how many sides is this? So anyway, this one actually I used on the card today. So you can actually use it in 2 different ways. You can cut out the way I did with just a frame, or you can cut out the center and it'll put stitching around a larger hexagon die cut. And then we have this one that I also used on the stamp or on the card. I'm clearly having some trouble talking today. So we've got our scalloped edges along here, and it actually cuts out a little scalloped frame as well as it will cut the center out. And again, I'll show you how those pieces work together. And then we've got one here that's just the stitched edge die. So it's a great set of dies. Again, good sizes for lots of things on card fronts and lots of sentiments and images and all that sort of thing. So, all right, so this is the bundle, again, called Wildflower Designs, and it is in the new Stampin' Up! Catalog that just started here at the beginning of May. A couple other things that I did use that I talked about the suite, and this is one of the other items in it. It's called the Dashing Designs 3D embossing folder, and I'll hold it up here so hopefully you can kind of get a little bit of a view of it on screen. It's a 3D folder, so it's one of the thicker ones. So when you run it through the die cutting machine, you're going to put your base plate down, put your paper inside it, and then take that gray specialty plate, put it on the top, and run it right through, and you're going to get perfect embossing every single time. The specialty plate is available for sale separately from Stampin' Up!, so you don't have to use it with a Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. It works with other machines as well. Not going to go into all the details on that, but it will work with a standard die cutting machine, so just know that. If you have it and you're having trouble with those 3D embossing folders, grab that specialty plate and it'll work much better for you. So I see Charlotte is here, and Myrtle and Carol. Thanks everybody for joining. All right, also used the Everyday Details dies, and I just used this littlest rectangle die to cut out my sentiment on here. And then I did use one more die set because apparently I couldn't stop myself at 2, so I had to use 3. And I used this little die here to cut out on the background. I just put a little designer paper banner in there, and I use this die cut to cut it. And these are the Stylish Shapes dies. They've been around for quite a while. They are an awesome basic die set that everybody should have. So, all right, before we get going on the card, I did want to remind you, speaking of the bundles, the stamp and die bundles are going to be on sale beginning June 5th, running through June 30th. Stampin' Up! Is putting all of the bundles on sale for an additional 10% off. So Yay. I love that. And yeah, so and the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine as well that we were just chatting about a second ago. That and the mini machines. There are two different minis. There's a boho blue one and a white one. Both of the, or all three of those machines are actually going to be on sale for 10% off. And I don't remember a time when Stampin' Up! Has ever put that machine on sale. So if you've been on the fence about getting it, hop in and get it while it's on sale and save the 10%. So there you go. All right. Again, June 3rd or June 5th through the 30th is when the sale will be running. So hop in and grab those bundles. Get your list ready for then. And then don't forget, today is the very last day for this awesome starter kit special from Stampin' Up. So, hey, Francis and Patricia and Mary Ellen is here as well. So we've got this starter kit special going on right now from Stampin' Up, where you get $82 in additional in-color products available for free when you purchase the starter kit. So the starter kit is $99. It ships for free. You get to pick $125 worth of whatever Stampin' Up! Merchandise that you would like in your starter kit. And then in addition to that, you're going to get the in-color ink pads, the in-color cardstock, the in-color designer series paper, and the in-color markers for free when you join. Once you join as a demonstrator, you get at least a 20% discount on everything. You get to pre-order from the upcoming promotions and catalogs early, usually about a month ahead of everybody else. And so, yeah, so you might as well just go ahead and join and save. There's no requirement to sell anything to anyone other than yourself. And yeah, if you can't keep up with the minimums, then you just drop and go back to being a customer. So, you know, no questions asked, no problem at all with that. Let me know if you have questions. We'd love to have you come join us, but don't wait too late. It's like almost the end of the day on Friday. So go ahead and get your starter kit purchased now and get all these cool in-color products. And yeah, and then you be a part of our little team as well. And we're pretty awesome. So no, we're a pretty relaxed group. We really just enjoys stamping and getting a discount on our product. So speaking of pre-orders, there will be an online exclusive pre-order. This is not all of it. This is just a sampling of some of the new online exclusives that will be coming starting on the 5th of June. Demonstrators can pre-order these items. So if you join now, you get the awesome discount or awesome extra products in your kit. And you can pre-order from these beautiful new online exclusives starting on the 5th of June with all the rest of us demonstrators. So there's obviously some pretty holiday and Christmas related things in here. I did see that there was a Halloween bundle. There's some fall things. And then here are a few more of the online exclusives that you'll be able to pre-order starting on the 5th of June. And then these products will be available for everyone to purchase starting on the 3rd of July. So if you don't want, not a demonstrator, and I can't talk you into joining, then you have to wait till the 3rd of July to be able to pre-order them. So let me know if you have questions about any of that, questions about joining. We'd love to have you come hang out with us. All right, enough yakking. Let's get going on the card. So my card base, my original one is a top fold card. So it's 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5 1/2 across the top. So it's the top fold card because that's the card that I prefer. But I'm showing you the card that I don't always prefer, but I know some of you do. So this card will obviously also work with a standard card base. So this is 8 1/2 by 5 1/2 and scored at 4 1/4 down the middle. So you can make this with whichever card base you prefer. So if you like this one, go with this one. If you like the top fold, go with the top fold. But the measurements of everything other than the card base are all exactly the same. So, all right, I've got a piece of the Wildly Flowering Designer Series paper, which is part of the same suite with the Wildflower Designs. Drew a blank all of a sudden. I'm like, what is the name of that stamp set? Wildflower Designs stamp set. So it's all part of the same suite. This piece is cut to about 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So it should fit and cover the entire card front. And I've got, excuse me, goodness, I don't know what, my allergies have been driving me crazy. Everything is blooming around here. So of course I've got extrally runny nose going on. So I'm using a little liquid glue and a crumb cake card base to put this together. And I'm just going to take this little Designer Series paper panel and stick it here on the card front. Hopefully I've got everything lined up. Let me flip this over and make sure. Yep, looks like we're good to go. And I'll give it a little extra smoosh to make sure it's stuck down well here. All right. The next thing that I did was I used those Wildflower. I'm getting the Wildly Flowering and the Wildflower Designs I can't keep them straight in my head. So I use the Wildflower Designs dies to cut this little frame. And the die that I used is obviously this larger one. And I put some adhesive sheets on the back before I did the die cutting. So you can kind of cover a large area of this the back of your panel before you do the die cutting, but you're kind of wasting a lot of the adhesive sheets. So a little trick that I use is I cut the adhesive sheets. Originally, they come in a pack of 6 by 12, so they're a good sized good sized piece of adhesive sheets, and they've got at the 2-inch mark and 4-inch mark, they've got little score lines, mark lines. Little cuts in the backing so that it makes it easy to apply them. They come off in 2-inch chunks basically. And I cut it down to about a 1/2-inch wide strip. And then when I'm placing it on, I'll just use the card back, for example, if I was going to do this. So I place the die like this, wherever it is that I want to die cut it at. And then I take this little strip and I peel it off and I slide this die over just a hair. And then I stick my adhesive sheet right over here where I know the die is going to cut it. And then I do the same thing right over here, same thing down here, same thing down here. So that is how I got the adhesive sheets stuck to the back without having to cover the entire back and waste a whole bunch of the adhesive sheets. So I just cut mine up into smaller strips and then stick it so that it basically has chunks of it on the backing. And you don't need to have the entire back of any of the die cuts that you do covered with the adhesive sheets. As long as you've got, I don't know, a fair chunk of it, half of it maybe, you're good to go. So it doesn't have to be completely covered. The adhesive sheets will hold it down to your card front pretty well. All right, so I'm going to take that and flip it over, and we're going to try to get this roughly centered here. Hopefully I've got it. And just trying to center top to bottom and side to side on here. And I'm going to just lightly press it down here, get it initially, and then I'm going to come back and really give it a good rub once I know everything's in the spot where I want it to be. And then the adhesive sheets are going to do the rest, and everything is stuck down on the card front and won't fall off. So yay. I do like the adhesive sheets when I remember to use them. The hardest trouble, or the most trouble I have, is actually trying to remember to die cut with them on the back already. Usually I remember it right after I get done, and then I'm like, oh shoot, that wasn't a good idea. So then I grabbed a piece of basic white cardstock and used it to, and die cut it with this frame. I did the same thing where I took the adhesive sheets and stuck them on the back of the paper before I ran it through the die cutting machine. So I've got them all stuck on here already. And I do find that the edge of my paper snips is a good thing to, or my little, I've got a set of tweezers here that has also got a real pointy end on them. I find that those are some of the best tools to get the adhesive sheets to start pulling away, because sometimes that can be a little challenging trying to get the adhesive sheets up and off the backing, especially if it's a skinny little die cut. So definitely grab your paper snips or some sort of a pointy tool. The pokey end of the take your pick tool would also be another one. That's a good one to use. And I'm just using those adhesive sheets again to stick this right to the card front. And again, just tried to kind of roughly center it in the middle of the card base. Again, ahead of time. I told you I tried to do a bunch of this ahead of time because I know it's not very exciting to sit and watch somebody die cut things over and over again. I got a piece of crumb cake cardstock out and I cut it again with this same die. And when this die cuts, it actually cuts the scalloped edge as well as the center at the same time. So for this one, this die cut, I used the center piece and I embossed it with that Dashing Designs 3D embossing folder, which looks like that. And this is part of that same suite. So it's all, I don't remember which page it's on in the catalog, somewhere towards the center. That's all I can remember. And we're going to go ahead and put a little bit of liquid glue on this, just because sometimes when I use the, as much as I like to use, although I could use Stampin' Seal and put it on the card front, maybe we'll do that instead of liquid glue, because I usually end up with that all over me. So hey, welcome from Texas, and Kathy, I'm glad you're here, and thanks, Bonnie, I appreciate that. So I'm going to take a little Stampin' Seal, and we're going to stick it here on the card front. And again, it doesn't matter what it looks like because it's all going to be covered. And then you can kind of really pick on this die, or on this embossed panel, which one you like better. they're pretty similar on both sides. So I'm just going to go with, I think I like this one slightly better today. So that's going to be what we'll put up on the card front. And I'm just going to grab my Stampin' Seal, or grab the, use the Stampin' Seal to adhere the pieces together in here. So there we go. That's kind of the background for the card. The reason I didn't put Stampin' Seal on the back of the actual embossed panel, I started to say that and then got sidetracked, is because sometimes I press down too hard with my Stampin' Seal and it kind of smashes the embossing on it. So in order to try to preserve the embossing and make it look as pretty as possible, I try to put it on the background instead. So, hey, Deborah, thanks for joining from Ohio. Excuse me again. So I did again a bit of the coloring and die cutting ahead of time, so you didn't have to sit and watch me do this 3 times over because it's all the same process for coloring and die cutting. So I've got those done ahead of time, but I've got a couple of the little flowers from the Wildflower Designs stamp set. So hey, thanks for joining from the Netherlands. I'm glad you're here. 8:15 p.m. All right. So. And I've got Tuxedo Black Memento ink, and I'm going to be stamping on basic white cardstock. The larger flower image and and stick my fingers right in it again. And one of the smaller flower images. And we'll take that one and stick it right there. And then I'll close that up, so hopefully I don't stick my fingers in it again. And I've got some Stampin' Blends here ready to go. So I've got Misty Moonlight, Moody Mauve, and Old Olive for my colors. Oh, not Misty Moonlight, it's Boho Blue. Sorry, had Misty Moonlight on the brain. I thought it looked too light, but anyway. All right, so I'm just going to use the light Boho Blue, where I'm going to color in all these little flower petals with that. And you don't have to spend a ton of time making this look really pretty. It's kind of an artsy image, so just get your color on it. And don't worry too much. You don't even have to stay in the lines because nobody's going to be able to tell anyway, unless you go way, way out of the lines, but nobody will notice. And then I'm not really sure some of these little pieces, if they were supposed to be leaves or flowers in here. I went with that they were all flowers. I don't know. I started to color them as leaves on the first flower, and then I went, nah, I don't know. I think they're all little flower petals or little individual flowers, even though some of them really do look like leaves, but that's okay. I went with flowers, so that's what we're going to do. All right, a couple more little flowers and petals here to fill in with the light Boho Blue Stampin' Blends marker. There we go. And then I'm going to grab the dark. And I'm just going to put dark in a few areas here around each of the flowers, mostly kind of towards the bottom of the flower, or the petal, whatever it is that I'm working on here. And it's just kind of a little scribble of the color, not really doing any significant amount of blending or anything like that. And I'm not sure that it matters a whole lot whether you even do this, but I thought it added a little more depth to it when I added just a touch of the dark with it. And then I've got my light Old Olive Stampin' Blends marker, and we're just going to do a little zip right down the stem of the flower. So looks like an African lily or a flowering onion. And you could be correct on either or both of those. I have no idea what it is. I just know that it's pretty. I'm quite certain it's probably not blue in real life, but blue worked for the color scheme that I was doing, so that's why I did it. So, all right, coloring with the light Old Olive on those leaves, and then I'm going to come back in with dark, and I realized I forgot to color the base of those stems here, so that's all right, because I got to pull the light out to pull a little bit, doing a little bit of blending, not very much on those leaves, and then I'm going to color in the base of those with the Old Olive marker. Oh, the African lily is blue. Well, then I knew exactly what I was doing when I colored it. Or not at all. So, no, like I said, I just kind of stole the color scheme from the paper and from the sample in the catalog. It was colored the same way, so that's why I went with it. I didn't realize there were. Somebody told me there's no such thing as a blue flower, but I'm glad to know that they're wrong and that I'm right, that there are blue flowers. I knew there were violet, kind of a deep violet flower, but I didn't realize there were actually blue ones. All right, Moody Mauve is the color that I'm using here. And again, just coming back in with a little bit of the dark, kind of towards the center of the flower. Not going to worry about blending it or spending a lot of time coloring it because it's small and going to be mostly covered anyway, so we're just going with that. All right, so we've got these done. Now I'm going to grab my dies from the Wildflower Designs dies that coordinate with it. Oh, thanks, Karen. I appreciate that. So these two are the dies that cut this, so I'm going to be off screen for a second, running this through my die cutting machine. All right. Whoop. I might have to grab. Well, going through one. All right, there's one. And there's the second die cut flower, so we're good to go on those. Let me put these back before I lose track of those completely. And now we're just going to kind of layer up these little flowers on here with some glue dots. Oh, there are more than, okay. So I'm not crazy. I swore I'd seen blue flowers before, but like I said, somebody told me there's no such thing. And anyway, I'm glad to know that I'm right. Okay, I don't really care that much, but but it does make me feel better that I'm not losing my mind that there are, in fact, blue flowers. All right, so I'm going to take one of the larger blue flowers and just making sure that I've got it here on my card front, and it's going to be up a little bit on this frame. And then I'm going to take the second blue flower die cut and just using the little mini glue dots to adhere that to the back. And we'll take that one and we'll stick it kind of, I think we'll kind of go like that. And then one of the Moody Mauve flowers. We'll take that one and we'll tuck it in here over the top of the blue flowers. And then I'm going to take my third little blue flower. And that one's going to be kind of turned upside down here at the bottom of my little pile of die cuts. And then two of the Moody Mauve, so, well, one of the Moody Mauve at a time. But both of the Moody Mauve flowers I will be tucking here around the blue die cut. There we go. Take that one and tuck that one right in here. And then I'm going to grab, this is a die cut I did ahead of time, again with the Stylish Shapes dies. I'll show you which die I used here. So I used this one to die cut another piece of the Wildly Flowering Designer Series paper. And then I'm just going to rudely chop that right in half in the middle. And it's not going to look very pretty, but nobody's going to know that it's chopped in half in the middle but you and I, since we're the only ones that see the card half made. And then I'm going to take a couple little glue dots here and stick them on the back. And I'm going to take 1/2 of this little die cut and we're going to stick it over towards the right hand side of the frame. And then take the other half. There are 41 blue flowers. Then I'll have to tell that person she has no idea what she's talking about. So, like I said, I'm glad that there are many and I'm not crazy. So I'm going to take the other half of my die cut and I'm going to stick it over, I think I'm actually going to move it over just a hair more. Stick it over towards the edge of this frame. Now again, nobody's going to know that it's chopped in half in the middle, but that's a little tip so that you don't have to cut two of them. You can just stick cut it in half and stick it so that there's a little gap in the middle if you're going to cover it. If you're not going to cover it, you may want to cut two of them and layer them one on top of the other. It won't look quite as weird as this does, but since we were covering it, it doesn't matter. So. All right, I've got a piece of basic white cardstock and a Moody Mauve ink pad, and then the sentiment from the Wildflower Designs stamp set. One of these days I'll get all the wilds right. Ink that up in Moody Mauve, and then we are going to just stamp it here on the basic white cardstock panel. And then I'm going to grab my Everyday Details dies, and we're going to take the smallest of the rectangles and going to run this through the die cutting machine as well, so I'll be right back. There we go. And this sentiment, I stamped and die cut it the first time, and I thought I didn't cut it straight, and then I stamped and die cut it the second time, and it cut the exact same way. So there's a little bit of a slant to the sentiment. So don't do what I did and restamp it like 3 or 4 times trying to get it straight, because it's never going to go straight, which is good because, yeah, then you don't have to worry about it being straight. So I've got some little Stampin' dimensionals, and I actually chopped my dimensionals in half because I like the way they fit on things better. And that is what I use to adhere most of my layers to my projects. So I've got a couple of those. We're sticking them here on the back. And then I'm just going to layer that right over the top of my little banner, my chopped up banner. And like I said, then nobody but you and I will know that we chopped the banner in half, because you can't tell. So there we go. All right, last thing that I've got on the card front, this paper is so pretty. And like I said, I didn't pick any of the colors. It was all done by the paper, which I love. So the final piece of this suite that I'm using is the adhesive backed textured dots. And I'll hold them up here a second, so hopefully the video will catch it. They're cool. They're like little kind of dotted dots, if that makes sense. So, and I'm going to stick 3 of them on here. So I'm going to put a larger one down here and one of the smaller ones. And then I will take a larger one and stick it up over here, kind of near the sentiment on the other side. So I have my little trio on there. I've been doing lots of duos and not so many trios on the embellishments, but I thought this one needed a little something up there, so I went with the trio this time. So there you go. That is it for the card front. Inside of the card, I kept pretty simple. I've just got basic white cardstock and a little strip of the leftover designer series paper from where I cut the card front. And again, this is the Wildflower or Wildly Flowering designer series paper. And it's about a 1/2 inch wide strip, and it's a little over 4 inches long, which I do that usually if I can intentionally, so that I've got a little lever when I'm trying to stick this down, and I can always trim it down to fit, but it does make it harder if you have cut it too short and then you're trying to cut the background paper and all that sort of thing. So we'll trim that down with my paper snips, which is about the only kind of fussy cutting that I'm really able to do, and sometimes I still mess that up. Grab a little Stampin' Seal to adhere this inside the card base, and there we go. All right, and then I'm going to grab the bone folder and fold it in half here and run a little crease along the edge. Oop, and it looks like my adhesive sheets, I must not have smooshed down hard enough. There we go. And that's it. So super quick and easy. And the designer paper really, really is what makes this whole card. So pulled all the colors from there and everything. And I agree with you on the wild wheat. It is definitely not my favorite color. It's the one I have the hardest time with as well. And then I use it and I'm like, it's prettier than I think it is. But I like it. I like the chrome cake, actually. I love that with the blue and the mauve. So some of my favorite color schemes in there as well, even if it's got a little bit of the mustardy color. So, all right. Thanks everybody for joining. I appreciate you all being here. Have a wonderful rest of your day and enjoy the weekend. It's beautiful here in New Jersey, so hopefully y'all are getting some nice weather too. And hopefully down south, I know you guys have had all sorts of crazy weather, so I'm hoping that that's all gone for a while and you don't have to deal with it anymore and the power's back on. So I will plan to be live around 2 o'clock Eastern time on Tuesday, and then again around 2 o'clock Eastern time next week, Friday. So I will plan to see you then. All the details for this card will be posted on my blog tomorrow, which is stampwithamyk.com. And I will link directly to the blog post as soon as it goes live around 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern time on Saturday. And yeah, oh, hey, Christine, thanks for hopping in. No problem at all. So come, yeah, the replay will be up in just a second as soon as I stop yakking. So don't forget about the awesome joining special going on through the end of the day today. Get yourself joined because it's a great deal. Again, and don't forget about the bundle sale that is coming starting on the 5th of June. Let me know if you have questions about anything. We will chat with you all.